because we're late to everything. As far as it just happens.
Yep.
If you're booking 2 every 15-minute block, you're going to be late.
Yep.
And if someone, every once in a while says, "Yeah, you were supposed to call me at 10:30." Yeah, I was speaking to another senior citizen in Alabama that she did have some extra questions, but thankfully we were able to get her qualified and approved today. I apologize, but I just couldn't hang up on her. Is that fair? But you got to be prepared for those things. And I wasn't, telesales wise, I wasn't prepared for any of that.
Right.
So I was thinking in-home.
So you kind of approached it, same mentality you approached the in-home with initially.
Yeah.
Let me just do the same thing, right? Hey, it works at home. Why wouldn't it work over the phone? And then quickly realize, oh, this is a whole different animal. Do you like the belt, Eric?
Dude, that belt is amazing. I just tried it on. It is heavy. It
is
fits.
Heavy. It does.
But it is heavy, and I can't wait to see it presented here in a couple weeks.
Yep. And who knows who it's going to go to? You never know.
Man, I'm on the edge of my seat. You wouldn't give me the information.
I would not.
Dude, I even asked you. I said, dude, we're off camera. Just tell me. He goes, yeah, we'll find out on whatever that date is, the 30th or the 31st.
I sent it to our rating champ, Steve, and he was like, am I number one yet? I'm like, I can't tell you, dude. I can't tell you. So we will all find out together.
Always sell one more. Just one more.
Hey,
just
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, by the time you're seeing this, I don't think it's going to count.
It'd be too late, but for 26 or whatever, 25,
There you go. But it'd be cool to give that thing out. And I can't wait, man. We have a couple weeks here left till we're at convention. And that's always been
going to need its own seat on the airplane.
It will, dude. Yeah, absolutely. We have to send it down there a few days early, But it's always like my favorite part, or one of my favorite parts, is handing out those awards because, I mean, you guys bust your ass all year long for that moment, really. The money, all that stuff's great, but it's nice to be recognized in front of your peers for what you did. And I'll let with where we are, not to get all on a soapbox, but where we are from a society standpoint where everything is, very participation. Everyone gets rewarded all the time.
You were going to say that.
I like that we'll never do that. I mean, Sean, you've known him longer than I have. He will never go to that.
No,
and
sir.
we as a company, it's not. So I love that we still kind of old school in our awards and our training and whatnot.
And one more thing on the awards. So the first year that I went, it was so important to be at that award ceremony. Now, the first year I went, I only had my license for 3 months.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I wasn't getting an award for anything.
Yeah, there's no chance you would get
no.
an award.
No. But I remember Eric Anthony saying, hey, I said, dude, can I just fly out early? He goes, dude, are you really taking this seriously? Be at the award event and clap you want people to clap for you. So I went, and it was in that tiny little room in Vegas, right? Stuffed. We were definitely breaking some fire codes.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, man, And so now fast forward, this will be my 7th convention. What it's going to look like for all the men and women that have earned, what they've earned this year, and the amount of red jackets and the amount of people that are going to go across that stage. So I can't wait. I can't wait.
Same, absolutely. Yeah, and we had a much bigger room now. So we were turning people away that year. If you remember, we were full. There were people standing up in the back, and they're like, you can't have them stand up. And that was a good problem to have at the time. But we had a big enough room this year.
No
doubt. This past year, speaking of awards, you're going to receive a Hall of Fame jacket for your agency. You already have an agency jacket, or no?
Well, I have a red jacket.
Oh, that's right. At that point, we didn't have the separate one, so you're getting a jacket there. This is the first year you've done both.
Correct, yeah.
And this is kind of almost like you're the comeback kid, Eric. It's been 4 years since you hit Hall of Fame.
Correct, yeah.
Now, we talked about this on the True Talk, so check that out. But Eric came in, full-time, personally selling, built an agency. I wouldn't say came out of the field, but reared it back a lot and then realized, oh, shit, that's not a good idea what I'm trying to build. And then last year got back in the field, but virtually, or telesales this time.
Just telesales, correct.
The previous 2 times you hit Hall of Fame personally, you were in the home.
In home, yeah, face-to-face, yeah.
19, you did 472 personally. 2020, 600,000 and change. And throughout your career, you've sold, I would assume it's probably 2 million now, but the number I have here, 1.9 million personally.
Yep.
Right? And that's not any agency. That's just personally sold. Why do I tell you that? Because my man can sell life insurance. Okay? That's why he's sitting here. But what I want to talk about is your journey to telesales. It's always that saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. I think that's a lie, right?
I'm definitely an old dog.
Yeah, no offense. But I mean, you're an OG. You've been selling for years.
Yes.
And even you had a license back in 08, so you remember the days of paper apps and all that stuff.
No doubt.
But according to that saying, you wouldn't be able to learn how to telesale.
And I didn't think I was going to be able to be honest.
You didn't think so?
No.
So you kind of believed that for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you were that old dog. I don't know if I could learn this new trick.
Yeah.
How long did you try it on your own before you reached out for help?
Probably 90 days or so. And I'm just like, hey, kind of like when I started back in 19, I said, I'm going to give this 90 days to figure out. I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to do in-home, okay? I desire not to do in-home, but I do desire to sell at a high level, regardless, of what's going on. And but I'm going to do it, over the phone, and so I said, let me give it 90 days. And if I can't figure it out, then, we'll have to pivot and make a decision.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what happened, right? You went 90 days.
Terrible.
You didn't have, what was your results?
I probably didn't even make it 90 days, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, I think, probably at half that amount of time, I'm just like, okay, I mean, I have the leads.
Yeah.
I can pick up and dial a telephone. Words can come out of my mouth.
Right.
But that's where the whole entire thing is falling apart.
Got it.
So, I mean, and again, you're going to sit, what is that rule like? So if you talk to 100 people, I mean, 10 are just going to buy.
Exactly.
Regardless.
Yeah.
I mean, you could say nothing and they're like, yeah, I want to buy.
So you're making some sales.
Yeah, I'm making some probably by mistake.
Okay.
But, and the ones that are never going to buy or just, procrastinate,
Correct.
Those are that other 10%. But that 60, 80%, like I was not able to.
You weren't moving them over,
I couldn't pull up the why over the phone. I couldn't, get control of the home like when I was in control of the home.
Yep.
I just wasn't able to connect the dots on any of that.
Yeah. I always looked at it like almost like the rule of thirds. And I think this applies to recruiting too, right? Like a third of the people that you meet with selling life insurance are just going to buy. They're just going to buy. Nobody could screw it. You could, like, to your point, you could say nothing and they would buy, right? Which is why we have like the Ethos link where you could just sign up yourself.
Yeah.
Then there's that other third, to your point, that you're not going to get to buy. I don't care how long you talk to them, what you say, you're not going to make it happen. But where you make your money, where you become successful, is that last third that are on the fence.
Yeah.
This is where you have to sell, where you have to bring them back to that pain point of why they filled it out or whatnot. So that third, you were not converting. Telesales.
0, yeah. And not only that, but that other third that would never make a decision, I was spending too much time with those people.
Got it.
So I was like, oh, I have them on the phone, right?
Yep.
So I'm slamming my head against the desk with those third that are never going to get there.
Sure.
And I'm just so not only am I not doing, the first third, yes. So not only am I not doing good with that middle third that I can't, convert, whether it's, it's 100% me, but whether it's about the why or trusting me or whatever. But I was spending way too much time with those other people, and I should have just been like, okay, there's a lot of non-buying signs here. It's time to say, hey, it doesn't sound like it's the right time. Why don't I follow up with you in 6 months or 9 months and just kind of put you back out there?
A lot of people I've talked to here about that transition, what they say is it's like starting over again.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what it sounds like, because what you're saying about telesales is the same thing a lot of us go through in the home originally. We spend way too much time with the wrong clients. We don't know when to walk away. We're so caught up, and I'm in Eric's house, right? His wife's there, Eric, Carrie, the kids. I met everybody. I have to sell him this policy, and I know it's not going to happen. What I should do is pack my shit up and get out.
Yeah.
So that you obviously overcame that in the home because
and that's a skill set in the home.
Absolutely.
Too. So
you had to relearn that.
Yeah. So I had to, but it's different, right? When there's no connectivity, and we're in different parts of the country, probably.
Sure.
So when you're in the home, it's like, okay, it looks like, when you start packing your stuff up and I haven't solved their problem, and they're saying, well, where are you going? I'm like, well, it looks like, boom, boom, boom. And they're like, well, no. I'm like, okay, well, but when you're in the home, it's totally different,
right?
So, I mean, the telesales, not being able to realize when to stop the conversation with that third of the people. And then, my biggest problem was, that second, third,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you ended up you said you cut it short. You didn't go the whole 90 days and realized I need to get some help.
Yeah. So I reached out to, I think I was talking to Zach about something totally different. And, Zach and Wiley, and he says, hey, and he put me in a group text with Ronnie. Salem.
Ronnie Salem, yeah.
We mentioned, on the other thing. And Ronnie was in the basement with his house and his kids climbing all over him and he's walking around and I'm like, man, I'm not doing any of those things. I'm not taking control. I'm not, my tone is the same all the way through. I'm not going up and down on my voice inflection and my tone. I'm, way too monotone. There's no energy. There's no influence or whatever the right words are there. And I'm not finding out the why. When you're in the home, you can see pictures of kids and you can see, the bumper stickers and, proud parent of a, honor roll kid. There's all these things that you can pull out. When you're on the phone, there's nothing you can pull out.
Correct.
You have date of birth, maybe you have a couple other things, but
sure.
You're not getting the intel, when you're in a home, not even close. So, so that's what I struggle with. So spending time with Ronnie and saying, hey, here's a script. And there's specific reasons why we ask these things now. And we had a, call you a Zoom a long time ago, you and I, a video or iPod podcast, whatever, talking about avoiding the objections before they become them. Where in the home, those are, a little bit different when you're going to start, implementing those things into the recipe of the success to the sale. And, so the psychology of, asking people specific questions at specific times and then challenging them on those things. And then if the client comes in and wants to kind of take control, for you to try to reestablish that doctor-patient relationship, like, hey, this is how it's going to go, and, say, hey, I do this 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and I exclusively work with X.
Right.
This is, so if we want to, and again, I get that beneficiary early. So if you want to protect Mary, these are the things that we're in. You want the lowest monthly premium with the best features and benefits, and you want to be able to get approved at the end of this phone call and know what's going on. These are the questions that we're going to have to ask. If now's not the good time, that's okay, because I'm already late for my next appointment.
Right.
So.
We hear a lot of stories like that. Like, hey, I hooked up with this guy. He helped me out. And it's one thing to talk about, this guy helped me, but what did they do specifically, right? Like, did he just train you? Did you listen to him sell? Did you get on their Zoom? Like, what was that?
Yeah, I think it was me listening to Ronnie and then, Ronnie, introduced me to his Zoom room.
Okay.
So I was able to listen to, Wiley, who still dials, and Nasser. And then Wiley, if a newer agent's dialing and Wiley's behind him and Wiley's giving him information about, hey, implement
so you had to see it real time.
Oh, yeah. I was watching it real time, which, we had the access to do.
Correct.
And for those that don't know the relationship, like I'm not part of Zach's agency or Wiley's agent. I mean, this was, like, hey, let's trade some intel. Let's trade some skill sets, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, listening to them say, Eric, you're doing this wrong. And when you ask this, you should be asking this. And when you say this at this time, and this script is I think it's been passed around the company and probably other IMOs all over the place anyway, because it just works. And
they're watching. They're using your training to sell over there.
And there's nothing magical about it.
No.
It's just staying on a specific track, and if you get off track, to be able to get back on track. Like in a lot of different sales things in life. Yeah. But I think letting them, first of all, being willing to be uncomfortable to accept constructive feedback or criticism, on what I'm saying. I'm like,
because you've been in the business longer than all these guys that you're talking about, right?
Yeah, and I'm twice as old as all of them as well. I mean, it's like I sold in retail sales, and I've sold in this, and I'm like, okay, well, dude, if you want to not have that feeling like you had in Texas, last year, we're gonna have to make some decisions here.
Right.
So taking that, that feedback, like, dude, that's not right, and that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Now, what is the exact thing at the exact time? Like, it's that voice and tone inflection and the exact things on how you said it, and when to accept an answer, right? So if I say something like, hey, Mike, at the end of the month, typically how much do you have left over after all your bills are paid, your answer would be?
It's $500.
Perfect. And some people will say, nothing.
Yeah.
But then I talk, and that's a mistake.
Okay.
So if you say nothing, or you say something like, oh, yeah, really nothing. So, Mike, typically at the end of the month, how much money do you have left after all the bills are paid?
Not much, dude. Yeah, like maybe a few $100.
Got you. Yeah. Okay. And that just allows me to best serve you.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So silence is okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to speak right away.
Yep.
Sometimes that's okay. So what I was doing is I was trying to fix that, right away.
Right.
Now, if someone continues to push back, then I'll switch it. Okay, well, on a monthly basis, what were you trying to allocate into this to help protect Mary? Was it 40 to 60 a month, 60 to 80 a month, something around 100? What was going to be comfortable for you? So if they're not willing to tell me what's left, which is okay, then I'm not going to just take a no answer. A no answer, I can't go to the next step with it. And I was going to the next step with a no answer.
So
right? Or someone says, well, I don't know who my beneficiary would be. And be like, okay, well, we can figure that out later. Well, we got to figure that out now.
Correct.
So let me just get this right, Mike. If you passed away yesterday, who would be the first to realize you were no longer here today? be my mom. Okay, so your mom would probably be the beneficiary. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Perfect.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not, I don't want to force them the answer, but if you redirect the question and ask it that way, but if you take a no answer as an answer, it's going to come up at the end and you're going to be like, why didn't I get to the finish line?
Correct.
Well, because you didn't find out how much they had money or what their beneficiary is or what the true goal was.
And they have these answers.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't know. You don't fill out a form for life insurance or call in or do any of these things if you don't have a beneficiary in mind. That's literally the first step, right? Like, I want this to protect this person, these kids, my brother, whatever it is. But they have that in mind. They're just withholding it because everyone's afraid to be sold. Yeah. We're raised to be against sales, right? Yeah. Don't sell me anything. Let me buy it on my own.
Yeah, one thing I say very early, and I got these from these guys too, is like, hey, Mike, most of the folks I speak to already have at least one or two permanent or whole life insurance policies already in place. What do you currently have?
Right.
And if you say, well, I got 3, tell me more.
Yeah.
Tell me more about those. Well, I don't really know much about them. My wife does that. Perfect. When's a good time for me and your wife and you so we can all get together? Because I'm not going to overcome 3, allegedly whole life policies at an end of a presentation.
Sure.
Oh, we're going to think about it. Or they say, well, I have nothing. So let me get this right. I've already asked about the beneficiaries. So if you passed away yesterday, how would Mary, what would her financial situation be if you passed away yesterday?
Right.
Does she have $10,000 already put aside somewhere? No. Okay. So is that the reason why we're on the phone today? Yes. Got it. Right. Yeah. So I want to flush that information out. Oh, I have something at work. Perfect. That's awesome that you have that at work. I had that when I had a job too.
Right.
Do you know how that works? No, I don't. Would you like me to explain it to you? Yes. Yep. You can't take group insurance with you. You can't take a company computer or a company car with you.
Correct.
Do you know the difference between term life, whole life, and accidental? Well, I have a policy at my credit union. Great. They don't sell life insurance.
Right.
That's if your arm gets cut off in a, blah, blah, blah. Oh, so getting that information out will get you closer to the finish line every single time. And they won't become objections at the end.
Correct. All right. So
I wasn't doing any of that stuff.
No.
So I was just kind of bulldozing through it, trying to figure it out.
Gotcha. So then the big question, sum all this up, you made a lot of changes, but what would you say, I don't know, top 2, 3 things that you were doing incorrectly was preventing you from making sales? You met with Ronnie, you got on their Zoom, all these guys, and you made whatever change it was to then go out this past year, over 430,000, I think is what you would have finished them.
Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhere around there. Yes, sir.
What were the biggest things you changed?
Being consistent with leads.
Yeah.
I think, and I've always been consistent with leads, but I think with telesales, you have to be.
You need more leads?
Yeah, you need more leads. Yeah. I mean, they don't have to be $8 gazillion leads.
Correct.
They don't have to have, the beneficiary and a special password. And, I mean. You
don't need the Glengarry leads. No.
We need people to call, right? Now, are there anything wrong with those leads? No. But I need a name, a phone number, and an age, I mean, I love the more non-public information I can have, the better. But really, I just need people to dial, right? So being consistent with that, dialing, at different times of the day, especially if you're working different time zones of the country.
Yep.
Working a Saturday and or a Sunday, okay, until you hit your goals, right? Whether that's your weekly goals or monthly goals or quarterly goals or Hall of Fame, so if your goal in 25 is to hit Hall of Fame, you should be working a full Saturday and a half a Sunday at least, okay, or one or the other until you hit your HOF. Once you hit your HOF, then you can make your decisions whether you need the income to build an agency or whatever, right?
The thing is what you can do on one Saturday will take you 3 days during the week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and that's no different from in-home either.
Correct.
I mean, people are home thinking about it. Now, if the Super Bowl is on, is that the best time to call?
Right.
With the majority of the country, no. Right.
Right.
There's big games, coming up, or depend, on any season, right?
Sure.
But is that the best time? No. Is 9:30 on a Sunday, depending on what part of the country where you're the best time? No. Okay.
Correct.
But so that would be consistent dialing times, right? You want to have the right tools, okay? You want to make sure your phone's out, especially on telesales. I can't say spam likely, so whether you're with T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, you have to, start calling people, call your uncle's cousin, who doesn't have you in your phone and see what it comes up.
Right.
That's important, no one's answering the phone. Well, what's it say when you call?
Correct.
And with a lot of companies, you can change it. Mine says Schmidt Insurance or something like that when I call. And, I'd say that the third thing is, doing everything that you can to get them to trust you. Okay. Because when you're sitting face to face with someone, whether they trust you or not, at least you're not hiding behind a telephone.
Correct.
Right. So like within the first 30 seconds of my call, they know what I look like. Okay, they know my story. Yep. At least they have access to it. They can click on a link, right? Because I'm sending them.
What do you send them? Driver's license?
I send them like a digital business card that has my picture, all the carriers for credibility. It has Americo and all of our carriers on there, and has Mutual on there. Obviously, great brand recognition. Aetna, CVS Health, great brand recognition, and it has all my state licenses, and I'm licensed in almost every state. So I mean, it's a grid. Of all my state licenses, right? And then I do send my driver's license.
Gotcha.
And I just say, hey, for additional levels of transparency and credibility, I'm not required to do this in the state of New Mexico, but I also wanted to send you my driver's license. And then when they see it, I want them to laugh. So I said, hey, did you get my picture? I haven't clicked on it yet. Take your time. I have a couple other things to do to get ready for our appointment. Go ahead and click on that. Because I'm not going to, if they can't receive digital communication from me, I know they're not going to be able to receive the digital communication from America, right? So if they can't get my text message, they're not going to get the 6-digit code. So it doesn't make sense to move forward. So I said, oh yeah, I got your license. All right, perfect. You see my big bald head? And they laugh because it is big and it is bald. And then I know they saw it. And that gives me information that they can receive technology through their phone. So yes, they trust me a little bit more. I said, hey, if you ever need to track me down, that's my home address. This is my home information. This is, my social security number for work, my national producer number. They have all that information. So I say those three things because those first 90 seconds of the call is going to get you to the next, 19 minutes,
It's kind of like dialing, right? Like same deal. Those first few seconds, that intro is the most important part. Do I go, hi, is Mr. and I'm sure they mess your name up. Schmidt, is Mr. Schmitty there? You hang up.
Yes.
But I go, hey, what's up, Eric?
Yeah.
You're like, who the hell's talking to me like that? But same thing on the telesales. Those first few seconds, 90 seconds or so, will make or break your call.
Yeah, and I think, when we get telesales, we typically, telesales leads, we typically get an email address. So if it says, so if the lead comes in and says Michael Sizer, but in your email says Mike, or, Chip, I'm going to call you Mike or Chip.
Correct.
I'm not going to call you Michael because I'm not, I don't know you if I call you Michael.
Exactly.
So these are just things that you can look at, it depends on, how you're dialing and what you're doing, but you want to, if you're lucky enough, to have them answer the phone, and again, we're making 600, 700, 800 dials in a day.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if you make 200 dials a day and you think that's not going to work. No. That's like, that's before your mid-morning break.
It's rookie. You get those numbers though. Those are rookie numbers right there. Yeah. Come on.
But yeah, so, and it doesn't mean you have to, just pound them out in the first, do what you have to do. Take a walk around the building. If you get 5, again, it's all going to be in the numbers, but yeah, so you want to, just have that voice, tone, inflection, and, be disinterested, but, know that you have to change your voice and your tone, inflection. Sean talks about that all the time.
You sound busy.
Yeah.
And hey, the best way to sound busy, Eric, is to really be busy.
No doubt.
Right? You don't have to fake it when you have 20 appointments.
Yeah. And sometimes because we're late to everything as far as it just happens. If you're booking 2 an hour, 2 every 15-minute block, you're going to be late. And if someone every once in a while says, "Yeah, you were supposed to call me at 10:30." Yeah, I was speaking to another senior citizen in Alabama that she did have some extra questions, but thankfully we were able to get her qualified and approved today. I apologize, but I just couldn't hang up on her. Is that fair? And right away.
Yeah, what are they going to say to that? Like, I should have hung up on her and called me.
Yeah. Well, you didn't even text me. I apologize, sir, but I just, out of respect for the client I was working with, right? So, but you got to be prepared for those things. And I wasn't, telesales-wise, I wasn't prepared for any of that stuff. I was thinking in-home.
So you kind of approached it, same mentality you approached the in-home with initially. Yeah. Let me just do the same thing, right? Hey, it works at home. Why wouldn't it work over the phone? And then quickly realize, oh, this is a whole different animal. Yeah. But the concepts, the principles are still the same.
No doubt, yeah.
The process.
Avoiding those objections, getting them to trust you, and then challenging them at the end. If you've done all the steps and you get to the very end, and, I remember, and Sean said this on a million, trainings, Bob, if you don't mind, can I ask you just a question? You're not going to get mad at me, and this is like, I have to think about it, whatever. Oh, and if there is a spouse, if there is any decision makers, we want them to be there at the table. Because if not, Like if you went to an in-home and I went to go see you and your wife, or went to go see you and your wife wasn't there and I knew you were married, that's the one leg.
Correct.
You're never going to continue with that appointment.
Oh, God, no.
You would never walk in. You know, but so why do we do it on the phone?
Right.
Right. You know, and I'll challenge people, you know, so someone says they're married or whatever. Perfect. So is this a type of financial decision, Mike, you can make on your own? Or would you like your spouse to be involved as well?
Yeah.
I can make it on my own. And then don't just take that answer.
Right.
Then we got to go to step 2.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So when we get to the point where we're finding out what's going to be the best fit for your budget and your checking information and savings and so on and so forth, you have all that information, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. Okay, perfect. You know, and is that and what bank do you use? Is that the bank we're going to be using for this monthly automatic draft premium?
Yeah.
Saying that stuff in the first few minutes is going to save you time on the back end, right?
Absolutely.
But I can't remember what the other thing I was going to touch on before you said that. But I think just, doing those things. Yeah. Oh, challenge. So at the very end, if you've done all the right steps, you think you've done the right steps on, and that you still can't get there, say, if I can just ask you a question, do you not trust me or is it too expensive?
Yeah.
I'm okay with either answer.
Right.
No, it's just too expensive. Perfect. Then you know what the objection is.
Correct.
Well, I just don't trust you.
And we can fix that.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and then we can, say, hey, just, we'll go to the Department of Insurance website. Click, 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 click. You can do it on Google. I'll walk you through it, and all of a sudden, all my information pops up. Or I'll just send them the link. They can do it on their own.
Right.
So I think those are some of the things that I learned, after beating my head against the wall.
Right. Right.
And then just doing it at a high level.
Correct.
I mean, this is, if you're going to double your production, which I did from 23 to 24, more than double it, it's going to take, some sacrifice, some dedication, some humbling for sure, and a lot of hard work. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Eric, I think I'm sold. You can teach an old dog new tricks, right? But it depends on the dog.
It depends on the teacher.
Yeah, and on the teacher.
Yeah, no
but
doubt.
I think, you got to, all jokes aside, you got to be open-minded. You got to be willing to go, hey, you know what? As much as I've had success, I commend you on even being willing to do that, because most people that have had success are unwilling to do that. Go to a kid who's half my age, who's been in this business 2 years, right? Yeah. He's not sold what I don't know what I know. And go to them and go, hey, I need to learn what y'all are doing. Even though I've been here for 5+ years and I've sold this, I've won awards, I've done all these things, but I need to learn what you're doing. Yeah. You got to humble yourself.
No doubt.
And it's cool to see, because I know, again, being in this business 15 years, the amount of ages people I've met, I would say the majority of the people that I've met that have been successful would not be willing to do that.
Yeah, but it was and it's a good lesson for my kids too.
Absolutely.
So they don't see numbers, they don't log on at 4 a.m. to the IP.
They're not on our leaderboard. They're not watching right now.
They're like, "Where's week 3? Where's week 3?" So but these are lessons. And there's something I say a lot. I've heard someone else, but later's never greater.
Correct.
So to figure this thing out, later's not greater. To take the garbage out, later's not greater.
No.
To empty the dishwasher, make your bed. To get better at telesales.
Sure.
To figure out what to say and when to say and how to say it. Later's not greater. Let's figure it out now.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, dude, I appreciate you.
Appreciate you, man.
Congratulations on the awesome year.
Yes.
Looking forward to seeing you in Dallas in a few weeks.
Can't
Absolutely. Wait. Get pass this baby out to the #1 producer. I can't tell you who it is.
Can't wait to see who #1 is.
But go to FFLconvention.com right now. There's a handful of tickets left. Premier VIP is completely sold out, but general admission still available. All of $99 for 3-4 days of insane training. We got Deion Sanders, we got Eric Thomas, we got Tim Grover, we got Pastor Matthew will be there, Dave Anderson, Sean, yourself. I mean, so many people. Steve Giordano, Andrew Taylor. It's funny, you were talking, last thing I'll say is when you went to your first event, one of your takeaways was, hey, if this guy could do it, why can't I do it, right? That's one of the reasons why I'm in this seat today. I went to an event at another company 15 years ago. I saw Andrew Taylor on stage. No, I love Andrew Taylor, but I'm like, he was younger than me, a few years younger, and I'm like, that kid at the time, dude, he was probably 21 years old, is making over 6 figures selling life insurance, and he came from bagging groceries. I'm like, I used to bag groceries. So not a knock on him, but, dude, if this kid can do it, why the hell can't I?
Yeah, well, that first event in Vegas that I went to, that February 19, January 31st, last day of the car business month, I flew out of Boston, took a direct flight, left on the last day of the month, which you never do in the car business. And and there was a lunch break, and there was like a high top table like this, and there was 2 strangers, and there was a seat open. I said, hey, if you mind if I sit here? And I just started hammering them with questions.
Yeah.
And then I was like, if these guys can do it, I know I can do it.
Absolutely.
You know, it just gave me like that much more confidence. And then seeing like, you know, Dom and Frank and, you know, all those people on stage and Grady, you know,
getting
like,
around the heat.
I know these guys. Yeah. No doubt.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Well, thanks again. Guys, hit subscribe, share this with your team. Go to flconvention.com now. Hopefully we'll see you all there. And it's just make a commitment, make a decision to do something big this year. And a lot of these big decisions start at that event.
Absolutely.
So hopefully we'll see you guys there. Thanks again.
Can't wait, man.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.